Brahmanda Purana, Part 4, Lalita Mahatmya, Chapter 16, March of Victory along with the army. Hayagriva continued. Then Lalita, the great goddess, the mother of worlds, set out in order to conquer Bhandadaitya, a thorn unto the three worlds. She gathered together the seven oceans in the form of Mardala, a drum. The soldiers filled the sky with tremendously loud sound of the drum. Many other instruments equally produced loud reports. They were of different types of drums, viz. Mridangas, Murajas, Pataha, Dhakka, a double drum, Linganas, Selukas, cymbals like Jhallaris and Randhas, small drums of different shapes like Hudukas, drums producing Huduk sound, Hundukas, Ghatas, big drums like Anakas, Panavas, Gomukhas, Ardhachandrikas, Yavamadhyas, Mushtimadhyas, Mardalas, Dindimas, Jharjharas, Bharitas, those of the types of Lingyas and Alingyas, Uddhakas, Etadandas, Nissanas, Barbaras, Humkaras, Kakatundas, and other instruments of music. When the preparation for the battle started, these musical instruments were sounded by the soldiers of Shakti. The footnote says 3 to 6 give a list of musical instruments of the medieval period. Many of these are seen in the frescoes and panels of cave temple at Ajanta, Ellora, etc. Out of these, Nisana in a Sanskritization of a Persian word. In Marathi historical records, they are called Nisan. Here N reads Jhallari Sangha, a group of cymbals, Jhariharas and Karsarithalas of the types of Lingya and Alingya. A deity named Sampatkari rose out of the god, a missile of Lalita Parameshani. She moved on along with the other Shaktis. Sampadishwari, that is deity Sampatkari, was reddish in color, like the midday sun. She was served by many crores of rows of elephants, horses, and chariots. She mounted an elephant named Kanakolahala. It was in a state of excitement, huge in size like a mountain. It appeared to relish a fierce battle. A great army shouting fiercely followed her, hitting the thick clouds by the fluttering clusters of banners and emblems. The horripilation of that deity Sampannatha hemmed firmly within her stout breasts shone like her desire within her heart for an elaborate preparation for war. A vibrant thin bladed sword held in her hand shone dreadfully like the terrifying knitting of eyebrows of Kalanatha, god of Kalanatha, god of death. Excellent elephants, crores and crores in number, followed her like huge mountains blown by the portentous winds. Then the deity Atidvarita Vikranti, extremely speedy like horse gallop, born of the lustrous weapon. News of goddess Sri Lalita moved ahead, seated on a horse. Along with her, an army consisting mainly of horses moved ahead, digging and tearing the surface of the ground by means of their hoofs, as though by means of hoes. Their neighing sound reverberated. Um, the footnote says the goddess is charge of cavalry of women, as these are Shaktis, is significantly named a Shakti capable of extremely speedy horse gallop. Different kinds of well-bred horses having various auspicious marks followed her. The footnote says 16 to 22 enumerate the different breeds of horses and the regions from which they came. They were designated according to their land, such as Vanayujas, Kambojas, Paradas, Sindhu Deshajas, Tankanas, Parvatiyas of mountainous regions, Parashikas, Ghattadharas of great staring ability, Daradas, Kalavandijas, Valmikodbhutas, Yavanodbhutas, and Gandharvas. There were horses of eastern territories, Kairathas, those born of frontier lands, etc. They were well trained. They used to bear the riders properly. They had good speed. They were of steady minds. They could particularly comprehend the minds of their masters. They could withstand the of they could withstand the rigors of great battles. They had many good characteristics. They had control over anger and fatigue. They had been trained well in the five different kinds of paces. The footnote says Ashkandita, such as Ashkandita, etc. See Malinatha's commentary on Shishupalavada version 60, verse number 60. They were modest. They could gallop well. They had the auspicious marks by means of curly hairs, etc., such as Phalashukti, Shweta Shukti, Deva Padma, divine lotus, Deva Mani, divine gem, Deva Shwastika, divine symbol of Shwastika, Shwastika Shukti, Gadura, a kind of hump-like bend, and Pushpa Pushpagandika, smooth and flowery neck. The horses had all these auspicious marks and characteristics that could bestow victory and kingdom. They had the velocity of the wind. The great goddess rode on a horse named Aparajita. It was exceedingly refulgent and it moved fast. It had tall and stately figure. The bridle glistened in its mouth. Thick clusters of mens fell on either side and shone. It used to shake its bushy tail when the clouds were scattered all round. It shone brilliantly with the jewels and tinkling bells tied to its shanks. It appeared to produce loud sounds of musical instruments by fiercely stamping the ground with its hoofs. In order to achieve increasing victory, it appeared to sound the musical instrument with the earthly zone. Very frequently, it exhibited different kinds of trotting and galloping movements. When the chowries shook on either side, it appeared to possess wings too. Its trappings and harness were very pleasant and fascinating. Clusters of bells adorned it beautifully. The sound of these bells and trappings appeared to be its humkara, a roar of defiance against the asuras. The great goddess mounted this horse and proceeded ahead. With her four hands she held the noose, the goad, the cane, and the bridle of the horse. Her exploits shone splendidly. She resembled the midday sun with blazing splendor of the girdle spreading everywhere. Seated on the horse, she moved up and down as though causing the horse to dance. The loud sound of the war drums of Sri Dandanatha, the lady in command of the horse army or cavalry at the time of setting out, resembled the rumbling sound of the agitated sea and defend the entire universe. A few Shaktis rose up with arms wonderfully hard as rocks. They pierced the 10 quarters with terrible adamantine arrows. A few fierce Shaktis of Sri Dandanatha kept watch over the vanguard of the army of Sri Dandanatha. With swords and shields they leapt and sprang about. Shaktis with canes in their hands tossed and struck them hundreds of times to avoid the jamming of soldiers. They moved about here and there. The Shaktis moved in front holding aloft tall banners and flags marked with pictures of buffaloes, deer, and lions. Thousands of Shaktis held the white umbrella of Sri Dandanatha with their lustrous hands and moved ahead.